Good morning. My name is Pranil. Welcome to Orchard Park Secondary School, home FRC Team 2056. If you have any questions throughout the day, please feel free to ask me. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Emily Forster from Team 2056, and she's going to be presenting how to make the most of your FRC experience.
Thank you. So my name is Emily, and I'm just doing a little presentation, how to make the most of your years in FRC, how to make the most of your FRC experience. Sorry. To start off, how many of you are newer to your teams, grade 9s? Perfect. Or new to the team, they don't have to be grade 9, but if you're new to your team and such, first year in the team and such. All right, so this presentation is mostly made for newer students, because 4 years is not a lot of time if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. 4 years goes by so quick, and there's so much you can do on your team. So I thought I'd make this little presentation to give you my 4 years an example of how to make the most of your FRC experience, to inspire you all to do the best you can with those 4 years. So a little bit about me. So my name is Emily Forster. I'm a 26 alumni. I was on the team from 2018 to 2021. I was also alumni of the FIRST Canada Youth Council, if you know what that is, and I was on that from 2019 to 2021. Currently, I'm studying mechanical engineering and society at McMaster University. I'm in my fourth year. I have 5 years, so I'm not done yet. But yeah. I'm also a GA and an MC at FRC competitions. You might see me at McMaster or provincials. Normally, I'm game announcing there, and I might be at another one this year. I've been doing that since 2022. I'm also a mechanical mentor for this team since 2023. And if you know what the first Dean's List is, I was also a 2020 Dean's List semifinalist winner. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And I was able to make the most of this from just making the most of my 4 years. A lot of these things, a lot of my current things like volunteering and doing all these cool things with mentoring happened because of how I use my experience on my team. So I'm going to start off with grade 9. Day one, when I walked into grade 9, I wanted to be a graphic designer. I chose a very different path, as we could see. Now I'm going in engineering and almost done a degree for mechanical engineering. But during my first season on the team, I wanted to learn to do as much as possible. I was helping build the field. I was helping with things in the machine shop. And I think it's when you're in your very first year, you should just be learning as much as you can because you want to learn what you want to do. Because as you get into grade 10, 11, 12, you'll start to be doing that one thing. And 11, 12, you'll be more of a team lead and like a lead in an area. For example, I was a technical lead when I was on the team. Or you could be a programming lead, a programming sort of thing. So it's really a good idea to start off your years by just learning everything you can and getting the most of your experience you can. And yeah, things I wanted to do in high school: be a graphic designer, change that, and join this team. I was also on an elementary school team in the area that kind of inspired me to join the robotics team in high school. So yeah, you want and find every opportunity you can to learn as much as possible. And not even specifically just on the team directly. So, for example, at First Ontario, I think it was that was the first Worlds event. I was able to be a first ambassador for Ontario. I was able to walk Kathleen Lynn, who is a former premier of Ontario, around the pits to introduce her to other first teams from Canada, which was a pretty cool experience. That was myself and a few other people who were on first teams back in the day, or First Canada teams back in the day. So yeah, grade 9, your goal is to do as much as you possibly can. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask whenever. Grade 10. So I had a very lucky experience. So I was in grade 10 where I got a very unique opportunity. And I was selected between grade 9 and grade 10 to be on the first global team, which if people don't know what that is, essentially it's like FTC, if you know what that is. It's like a robot the size of a microwave, usually we'd say. And the goal of that is you're given a very similar game, different from FTC, and you're represent like Team Canada or Team USA, depending on what country you're from. So I was selected on our team to be Team Canada. So I was the driver, and that top photo is me driving the robot back in forever ago. So that was a fun experience, but that happened because of what I did in grade 9 and getting experience. And then, so in second year, you get a little bit more familiar with what you're doing. You know how to do things. You know people. You know the mentors. You kind of understand the game a bit more and how things work. So you get more familiar. And due to some of the experiences you do in grade 9, you're able to propel yourself to do more. So for example, in grade 10, I was the pit chief for my team. So I was in the pit and I was in charge of whenever the robot came back from the field to fix things, replace the battery, and be there for testing and such. I also started doing more outreach, which outreach is a big thing that I like to throw out there for people to do. Outreach is essentially trying to volunteer to help other teams, volunteer at FIRST events if you can, and kind of do as much as possible to outreach to your community, not just on your team. So for example, at the end of, I'm not talking on this slide. Oh no, grade 10, I started to do more outreach with, I helped with the grade 8 robotics team at their elementary school, and below the bottom is me helping ref their competition. So like helping at elementary schools is a big thing as well. And outreach is a really important part of FIRST, and everyone should get involved with it. If it's something you're not interested in, I totally understand, but that's a big thing that help you with networking as well, because now you know people when you outreach and help other teams. Okay. And then this is my grade 10 continued, because grade 10 is a very big year, and it's kind of your second year on the team. You have a lot of experience. I also started signing up for random little events. For example, I signed up for this event called the FIRST Girls in STEM Weekend. If you ever seen events like this, sign up. They're lots of fun. This was an overnight event. I met some pretty cool people here. This is where I met Karthik for the first time. People know who that is. And this is where I met a lot of my really good friends that led me to joining the FIRST Canada Youth Council in the next year, which was a lot of fun. And through this youth council, it gave me a lot of opportunities. For example, if anyone knows what Project Grade Initiative is, I like to claim that I created that. If you ever see that posted in FIRST Canada Youth Instagram that the youth council does, I kind of helped start that back in my year, because my year was the first year of the youth council, where they create cleanup days and Instagram campaigns and such. I also had a part of reaching out to the first Indiana Youth Council, which was a lot of fun because we partnered on some initiatives back then. But yeah, grade 10, you just want to continue doing as much as you can and going outside of your scope and learning more and outreaching and doing as much as you can, especially if you want to stay in FIRST for a while, if you want to start volunteering. Getting to know people who are in those volunteering roles and trying to learn things, that's a big thing. So grade 11, after the summer going into grade 11, I made a very big decision to start an FTC team, which is a big thing. And anyone who's interested in doing that, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. So definitely be prepared for the amount of work it is. FTC is for FIRST Tech Challenge, for those who don't know. It's one step lower than a FIRST Robotics competition. And essentially it's like, as I mentioned, it's like the first global challenge robot, where it's like a little robot that's still made out of metal and such. It's one step up from FLL, but one step below FRC. It's for grades 7 to 12. So it's right in that in-between time for middle school. And it was a lot of fun. And I kind of wanted to outreach the community. Hamilton, in the public board, does not have a lot of robotics teams. So I reached out, and Salt Fleet, which is a school in Stony Creek, but a little bit further that way. I started an FTC team there, which was a lot of fun and a great experience. And those are some pictures of the FTC team. And because of the Girls in STEM events that I went to in the grade 10, I got a lot more experience and connection, which helped me propel into the FIRST Canada Youth Council, as I mentioned before. And with the FTC robot, I roped a bunch of my friends to come help me run this team, which was a lot of fun. And actually at that competition that year, they won first runner-up for the Connect Award and second runner-up for the Motivate Award. So I think we placed 17th. I didn't put it here, but I think we placed 17th overall out of 20 teams or something. But yeah, that's a really outreaching, starting other teams, a lot of fun, and it gets you a lot of good connections with people, and it's a lot of fun. I would suggest it for anyone. And then grade 11 continued again. So I was nominated for Dean's List. So for those who don't know what Dean's List is, here's a little description. Students that earn first Dean's List award status as a semi-finalist, finalist, or winner are great examples of student leaders who have led their teams and communities to increase the awareness for FIRST and its mission. These students have also achieved personal technical expertise and accomplishment. That's from the FIRST official website. So I was nominated in grade 11. You can be nominated in grade 10 or grade 11. I usually suggest that teams do it in grade 11 because then the students have more experience and more things to talk about in the interviews. Essentially how it works is you get a mentor on your team writes this essay for you about all your accomplishments on the team, and then you're put in to do interviews at the competitions. And if you win a competition, then you get to move on to provincials, and if you win provincials, you move on to worlds, and if you win worlds, you win, which is very hard to do, but it's a pretty cool experience. But yeah, I got nominated for that. The FTC competition happened, which was great, but then my year was sadly cut short because of COVID. So my experience is a little different than everyone else about here. COVID hit, which stopped all the FIRST events, which really sucked. I guess a lot of you are much younger, so you probably weren't around during the COVID. But essentially in 2020, all the events stopped right at March 13th, and then no other events happened that season, which really sucked. My Dean's List interviews were online and such, which kind of made things a little harder. But with that, I went back to the youth council, and we did a lot of fun, like online COVID events with the youth council, which was a lot of fun, and it gave me a little bit more experience there. But anyhow, to sum up, in a more normal grade 11 year, you have a lot more experience. You get, you try to do more things. Possibly start a robotics team if that's something you're interested in, and if you're interested in Dean's List, that's definitely something that will put you over the top because it shows your outreach and as well as your technical expertise. And if your team is looking for someone to nominate for Dean's List, that's definitely something they're looking for. And if your team normally doesn't nominate people for Dean's List, maybe bring this up to your mentors and say, hey, that's something I'm interested in. Because it's a really great experience. It shows people that you're a leader. If you win finalists, you get this really cool red sweater that says Dean's List on it. Just pretty cool sweater. Only Dean's List have that. That's a little advertisement for that. And then for grade 12, my grade 12 year was still in COVID, so there was less that happened that year, sadly. But normally in a grade 12 year, you would become technical leads of your team. You would learn more. You would be technical leads of the team. You'll teach other students. You'll be starting to mentor the grade 9s, teaching them how to take over your roles in the team. Because once you leave and you're gone, then your team you want someone else to take over your role and learn how to do those things that you've been doing for 4 years. But yeah, in my year it was a little different. It stopped a lot of activities from happening. Instead of FIRST Canada had these events that we could do that were pretty cool, where we ran the robot down the hallway, took videos and such, and did little competitions that way. And then I was able to run the 2020 26 Waste Inspire Conference, which is what you're at right now. We had it live that year, so I was also able to take over that, which is a really fun thing, and that's one of my experiences with being a lead of things. And that was a lot of experience, but COVID did prevent a lot of things. But it did allow me to focus on my grades a bit more at my Canadian university, which the other thing with grade 12 is although you're a lead and you have all this more experience, focus on your grades. FIRST will be here to come back later. You can always volunteer when you come back. You can always do more. But it's most important that when you move on from FIRST, you do something else. You go into whatever you're interested in doing. And I'd say that I will agree that my grades were not the best from grade 9 to 11, but grade 12, when I had that experience to focus on my grades, it helped me so much when it came to applying. And it's more like for engineering, if that's what you're interested in, it is harder than ever for any kids to get into schools they want to get to. It's extremely difficult and it's very competitive. So grades number 1 in grade 12. Do your leads, help with the team, obviously. Do as much as you can, mentor other students, but focus on your grades. And that's my one big takeaway. That is, FIRST will always be here for you to come back to. So don't forget about that. And you're always going to come back with welcome arms to be a mentor, but this will be school's number 1 then. And now what? So you're past grade 12, you graduated, you're off to the university in this program you wanted to go. Now what do? Well, your journey doesn't end. There is still a whole other FIRST journey for you. And it doesn't have to be immediately. You don't have to come back directly the day you graduate. You don't have to come. I actually suggest that you take a year off and don't come back your very first year of being in university, because you want to focus on university. You want to focus on whatever your path takes you in that first year. Get your life figured out, and then come back in a year or in 2 years when you think that you're ready to focus time to mentor the team. Mentoring, I love doing, but as you see, in my first slide, I started university in 2021. I didn't come to help the team until 2023 season. So I took 2 years of myself before I started to come back and I mentored. That being said, I did start volunteering that year because volunteering is a great substitute for that. Volunteering, you can still be at events, you can still watch the competitions, but this time you're helping FIRST with getting volunteered events, with something they always need. Actually, if you stay, there's a session after this by the youth council about how to volunteer, which will be really great. But yeah, personally, I always try to find ways to volunteer. So as I mentioned before, I'm a game announcer and MC. I usually do off-season events like the STEMly at St. Mary's. This is not updated. The St. Mary's competition doesn't exist anymore, but that STEMly at St. Mary's is the off-season event in a few weeks. I also do McMaster and provincials. But yeah, so sort of my takeaway here is do as much as you can. FIRST will always be here to for when you come back, but doing as much as you can in that 4 years is really valuable because the 4 years will go by faster than you think. Like anyone who's new now, you may be like, oh, it's not lots of time. It will go by. I'm in fourth year university. I feel like I was in first year yesterday. But yeah, my presentation is really quick and short and sweet. But you guys have any questions, let me know. But yeah. If you don't have any questions, you're all free to go, or you can stay around and talk to me. That's about all I got for mine. Yeah, for sure.